Company on 101 ESPN.
Now to Thomas on the near side. Man to the goal. Broberg just wide. Rebound comes through. The goaltender stumbled. He's out. He's lost his stick. Broberg with a shot. It's behind him. Grubauer reaches back. They score! Jordan Kyrou. Scramble at the net, and Kyrou puts it in. 3-2 Blues. Stevenson wins it. Montour under 10 to the middle. On Hofer to the far wing it goes. They come back to Stevenson. He shoots. They've scored. The puck deflects in. The Kraken have tied it up with just about a second on the clock. And we're tied 3-3. Kraken have had possession for the first 2 minutes of OT. Shane Wright walks it into the middle, shoots and scores. And the Kraken come from behind, win in overtime.
That's just a bad beat. I'm kind of speechless right now. There's not much you could say. You fall in overtime to the Kraken. Look, this is what happens with goalie interference. If you're a glass half full, you picked up the point. If you're a glass half empty, you should have never put yourself into that position. But still, it stings even more when it felt like it was an obvious goalie interference. And if you missed it, this was the explanation from the NHL Situation Room. The video review confirmed the actions that Seattle's Jordan Eberle did not impair Joel Hofer's ability to play his position in the crease. And that's the part that I'm so uncertain about, because his skate was on the stick and the stick was being pulled in one direction, and you could kind of see Joel Hofer react as to, I can't move the other direction. Now, maybe in Toronto's perspective, they looked at that and said, well, the shot was going high, and it was to the far side. He wasn't in position enough, and that's the reason they decided that way. Or he wasn't in the crease. Jordan Eberle was, deserved that part of the ice. That's the hard part, because when his skate hits the stick, it's in the blue paint. And you can't go in the blue paint. And that's the part that's so confusing, as they said it's not goalie interference. And I'm trying to remember, and our text line 314-399-9646 can help me out with this. Also, our YouTube channel can help me out with this as well, 101 ESPN STL. They challenged goalie interference in a previous game. And I think it was the Edmonton Oilers one, but it might have been the Vancouver Canucks one. But regardless, there was a game they challenged recently, goalie interference, and they called it goalie interference. And that one didn't feel like it was as blatant as this one was. So, once again, we don't know what goaltending interference is, ladies and gentlemen, which is why this league is so much fun or not so much fun. But regardless, welcome in to tonight's postgame fourth period. It's presented by First Community Credit Union, powered by Scott Lee Heating Company and Urban Chestnut Brewing Company. I'm Alex Ferrario. We've got Jim Hewer in the broadcast booth, Jordan Deacon back in our 101 ESPN studios, as the Blues do fall in overtime 4-3 to the Seattle Kraken. So before we go any further, let's get tonight's takeaways.
All right, Alex, thank you very much. Well, Joe, this one's a real stinger. A game, again, where the Blues had a 2-goal lead. You look at the fact that they had a 2-goal lead tonight. They had a 4-goal lead a few games ago, against Detroit. There's been some points and some wins they've left on the table. We'll talk about the goalie interference fiasco, because I couldn't think the league is more wrong on this, on any call, than this one. But the reality of it is the game got to a point that maybe it shouldn't have gotten to.
Well, it was a great first period overall. I mean, big picture, a great start. You have a 2-0 lead on home ice. You're feeling it in the first period. Lane Lambert's group for the Seattle Kraken, they made a massive push in that second period. They owned the second period. They get the 2 goals, right? And then you wanted to see what was going to happen there in the third. Jordan Kyrou certainly had a much better performance after being healthy scratched a couple nights ago. He gets the go-ahead goal, right? I mean, this is what storybooks are made of, right? All you got to do is close out a game, and the Blues did a heck of a job 6-on-5. Joel Hofer ends up stopping the puck behind the net. He almost scored a goal from behind his own goal line. That would have sealed it. Missed by a couple feet. And then just moments later, Curbs, of course, the Seattle Kraken tie it before ultimately winning it in overtime. But I think what everyone's going to be talking about is that goaltender interference.
Yeah, no doubt about that. That final play, to recap it, the puck gets shot, but you had Jordan Eberle in the blue paint, actually with his skate, kicks the stick of Joel Hofer. Now, the puck went over the shoulder. What we were told from the National Hockey League, just in time to start the postgame show, was that they didn't think that it interfered with his ability to make the save. So essentially what they're saying, Joe, is that on review, they're making a judgment call. Every other aspect of goalie interference was checked on that, except somebody in Toronto decided to tell you that they didn't think that Joel Hofer was going to make that save because the shot was high. And if you kick a stick, the guy's arm gets impacted. You're telling me that that doesn't impact your ability to raise your shoulder? Look, I think they botched it. I think they absolutely botched it. And this, once again, has goaltender interference being the single most inconsistent, ununderstandable, if that's even a word, rule in the books of the National Hockey League.
Well, I mean, you couldn't have said it any better. We said it on the broadcast. I cannot believe this goal counted. You know, clearly there is contact from his skate, Eberle's skate, on Hofer's stick, and right before the puck goes in. Contact in the blue paint. He was not pushed. He was not shoved. He, in my mind, and your mind too, prevented Hofer from being steady, square on that puck before it goes in. Now, if we all of a sudden have a group of people that say, yes, there was contact, but we felt that it didn't impede his ability to make, I mean, you can make that call on every single goal. I mean, who are we from computers in Toronto or computers anywhere to say, well, there was contact, but we feel like even though with contact, it didn't really affect. Of course it affects. It affects everything. You know, you don't know if that stick opening up affected his shoulder and all of a sudden it goes in. I agree with you. I cannot believe it. You saw the reaction from the coaches, the captain. They were absolutely beyond themselves, out of their minds that was called a goal. And then ultimately, the Seattle Kraken take care of it in overtime. So I hear the explanation, and I quite frankly just don't agree with it.
All right, but let's now we separate that from it. The Blues don't even touch the puck in overtime. The puck goes in. Seattle completes the comeback. And again, that's just another blip that the St. Louis Blues are going to have to try and figure out. They just have not been able to get any kind of momentum going, have they?
No, overtime was disappointing. You know, you lose the opening face-off, and then you just never get the puck back. I mean, that's the thing about overtime. You know, that's why faceoffs are so important. You know, Seattle Kraken did a great job kind of roping open the Blues in. You saw Braden Shen and Colton Parayko. They were certainly towards the end of their shift. They were tired. And this is what happens when you get tired. You get tired, you get crossed up. Mentally, you can't stick with it quite as long. And they do a little cross section. There's a little cross pattern happening over time. Wright ends up getting the puck. And then you have Parayko and Braden Shen committing to one guy, opens up a lane for Wright. He does a heck of a job dipping his shoulder, getting to the net, and beating Hofer on that far side just underneath the glove. But I'd say this is a disappointing loss. I mean, to me, you should be walking away here with 2 points. The Seattle Kraken should have 0. And just because of that call, now all of a sudden Kraken, they walk away with 2. You do salvage a point, Curves, but these are the calls like this. I mean, you see these at the end of the year. Whenever they figure out this goaltender interference rule, and I'm sorry to keep going back to it, I'm frustrated, but these are the ones.
They have not figured it out now. They will not figure it out. They are not capable of figuring it out.
But if they do, this is the one you're going to look at and be like, hey, calls like this cost team points. When you get costed points like this, you cost yourself potential trips to the postseason. I mean, this is how impactful those calls are. And for it to be so gray and to be so one-sided where you just don't understand, to me, the NHL has got to figure this out.
Well, that's where you've nailed this. The rules have to be written for replay. You've got to be able to do it. And you've got to be able to look and say, if it checks this, it's not a goal or it is a goal. The problem is when your explanation from the league is it did not prevent him from playing his position, you are taking it out of the realm of fact and putting it into the realm of judgment.
It no longer is a black and white. And I understand it's a gray area, but you can't judge whether the goaltender behind the mask in that crease could play or not play that puck. To me, it's no good. They got to figure this out.
All right, well, Alex, the St. Louis Blues fall to the Seattle Kraken in overtime by a score of 4-3. They let the Kraken come back in this one, and it bit them. So they're back at it on Tuesday against Calgary as the Blues once again try to go from a loss to a win. Now, the good news is they did pick up a point. They've got points now in 3 of their last 4 games. We'll see if somehow they can get that trend to go against Calgary on Tuesday night. Let's get it back to you.
Yeah, they take it on a Calgary Flames team that obviously is going through their own struggles, so could be the right dose of medicine for the Blues. The hard part is just you go back and forth with these where you win, you lose, you win, you lose, and God, this one's got to be gut-wrenching for those players, especially because it felt like they played such a good brand of hockey, and then just to call that a team that has not gotten any puck luck so far this season, it goes into the back of your net. On top of that, it's the first 6-on-5 goal that they have given up this season. Now, they haven't been in a whole lot of scenarios this year where the goalie's been pulled on the opposite side, but the first 6-on-5 goal, and really it comes from just losing the faceoff, where they were great all night tonight. So brutal way for this one to end, as that is tonight's Ted Drew's 3 takeaways. Ted Drew's, it really is good guys and gals. I'll add a couple more because obviously the biggest takeaway was the no call on the goalie interference, or the wrong call on goalie interference, however you want to take it. Kairu's another takeaway. I thought Kairu had a phenomenal game tonight, was impactful in the first and third period, scored the goal, used his legs, was pressuring pucks with his speed. That's what Jim Montgomery wanted to see, and we'll hear from Jim Montgomery coming up in just a bit. And then the third takeaway is penalty kill. His penalty kill is massively struggling, and you didn't have the chance to talk to Steve Ott about it, obviously, because there were other things to discuss, but, Buffalo, they went 3 for 3 on the penalty kill, which is good, but prior to that, 2 for 3 on the penalty kill, 0 for 1, 2 for 3, 2 for 3, 1 for 2, 2 for 3, 2 for 4, 2 for 3. They haven't gone perfect, with the exception of that Buffalo Sabres game, since they played the Dallas Stars 2-2. Or they went 2 for 2 on the penalty kill, but then before that, 2 for 3, 5 for 6, 2 for 3. They've only had 3 games where they've been perfect on the penalty kill, and they've been giving up, about 2 a game, it seems. They've only had 1 that went north of 5. They had 1 game where they gave up 4, and then they've had multiple games where they've given up 3 power play chances. But the penalty kill has just missed opportune times to kill off any momentum from the opposition. And tonight, it allowed Seattle to tie the hockey game and really just hold on to the puck for the entirety of that second period. So those are our Ted Drew's 3 takeaways. Now, let's get our soundbite of the night.
The soundbite of the night is presented by Rocket Convenience Stores. Fuel your car and your daily cravings at Rocket Convenience Stores.
So for tonight's soundbite of the night, let's head down into the Blues locker room and hear from Joel Hofer, who was superb in the first 2 periods. Unfortunately, a bad call is what ruins the night for him. And then, of course, that overtime one from Shane Wright. So let's hear from the Blues goaltender.
Joel, what were you thinking when the play was developing there? Did you feel like there was some interference there, obviously?
I mean, yeah, my stick got hit there. I just didn't know if the guy was in the crease or not. I saw the jumbo that he was, so I don't know what the rule is. I don't know. I thought the rule was that if the guy's in the crease, then it's no goal, or if he stops me from making the save. I don't know what their thought process was on that, but yeah, I'll leave it at that.
So we just got an email from the league that said he did not impede your ability to make the stop. Do you feel?
I mean, I don't know. If my stick's there, who knows if it hits my shaft? Who knows if it hits my blocker? I guess nobody knows. But it's I thought the only ground rule was if he was in the crease, and he did. And I mean, like I said, nobody knows. But you can't be making assumptions if it's gonna hit me or not. Nobody really knows.
So when it went to review and you got a chance to look at it, were you feeling confident that it was going to get called back at that time?
I mean, I was I'd say I was over 50% that I was confident, but yet I was still trying to stay focused because, I mean, nobody really knows nowadays, Yeah, there's a lot of, I feel like every other week there's something that there's always a debate on, that's kind of how the rule is, but yeah.
Is it a tough spot for you to be just at the gray area of the rule with the position you play and how it's ruled on a night-to-night basis?
I mean, I don't know. I can't really do anything about it. I'm just trying to stop the clock. I can't really comment too much on that. I don't know.
No, you're not thinking about it now, but just how close you were on that empty netter. Do you think you had it?
Yeah, I missed.
Feel like you've played well the past couple games? A lot of compliments from the coach and the team?
Yeah, I just got to, find one extra save. We battled hard. Yeah, that one stings, though.
After the review and you're thinking it's coming back, is it tough to kind of mentally reset you 2 seconds until overtime?
I thought I did a pretty good job at it. Like I said, I wasn't all in on if it was going to be a goal or not. I was kind of, I was kind of 50-50, so I was, it is what it is. You can't dwell on it.
There you go. That's Joel Hofer after the team's 4-3 loss in overtime as Joe Vitale's up here, and not going to keep him super long, but obviously let's react to this goalie interference, Joe. We just heard from Joel Hofer, who essentially said, I thought he got my stick because I couldn't make the move to the post to make that save. But Hofer said, I didn't know if he was in the crease or not. He obviously was in the crease. They just don't know what goalie interference is, and I don't know how the NHL fixes this.
Yeah. This is one of those I think the NHL has to look at and just, every rule, every change in government, laws, I feel like there's like a tipping point. I feel like there's one you're like, all right, this one's going to get the attention officially. This to me feels like one of those. I don't know how else to look at it. And I think the fact not only of the call, but the impact it made in this game at the timing. If that happens, 6 minutes into the first period and the Blues lose the game 5-1, it's still the wrong call in my opinion, but you kind of forget about them. I think because
there's time for it to not make an impact on the game.
The severity of the timing of it and how it now has moved the Kraken to 2 points and the Blues just to 1, where before it would have been 2 points for St. Louis, 0 for the Kraken. That's why I think that it just amps up the severity of it, so it highlights it in a whole different way. We said it on the broadcast. I back it up to this point after seeing multiple replays, after seeing the call from Toronto and the explanation, right? They're still saying that by rule, it did not impair Joel Hofer's ability to play his position.
I don't understand.
I disagree. His skate hits the stick. His stick opens up. When your stick opens up, your whole arm kind of fillets open in a way. Now, their explanation is that, they understand that there was contact in the blue paint, but they felt that it didn't impair his ability to still make the save. I don't care. To me, it doesn't matter. You're saying that your opinion in Toronto, wherever that was called, you got guys behind the TV saying, well, we get to check the box of he's in the crease. We get to check the box that he wasn't pushed in the crease. Yeah, we get to check the box that, he initiates in the crease and he touches the goalie. But we don't really care about those check boxes because even though he did check every single box, we don't feel as if it impaired his ability to make the save. BS. No way, man. You look at the rule. A player skates in the crease. He was not pushed. Eberle went in there willingly, right? His skate in the blue paint touches Hofer. The puck goes in. It's simple to me. It's goaltender interference. That is as black and white as it gets right there. And just a really unfortunate one where these coaches are still scratching their head. And I really hope the league can look at this one and really come up with a better explanation than they did tonight.
So I pulled up the goal, and I was looking at it in slow-mo. The crazier part about this, Joe, because originally I'm like, okay, well, maybe it beat him far side. And, they thought there's no chance for him to get over there. He was already set. That beat him short side. It beat him glove side. So the side that he was impacted with his stick, that went above his shoulder, the shot, and it went high post. That's the area that if he doesn't impede his stick, he's on the post. That's not going in.
Right.
So that's the part that I don't understand how they can sit there and say, well, it didn't impede his chance to make the save. It was on the side that Jordan Eberle impacted his stick.
Yeah, it went in on the side that it was impacted. So it even does highlight that. But to me, too, Alex, it's like, even if Eberle makes the same contact and the puck stays on the ice and goes on the other side of his body, like, I don't care. Like, at some point, you got to make it a little bit black and white where if there's contact, if it's in the blue paint, if he initiated it without anyone pushing him, and he touches the goaltender in the goaltender's area, I don't care where the puck goes in. Like, you're doing all those things. Because now, I mean, if that's how they're going to go about it, well, then you can move forward into any other game now where you're saying, yeah, go to the blue paint, initiate contact. Right? Let's say the Blues, for example. If this happens on the offensive side, Nathan Walker drives the net, he initiates contact in the blue paint, the puck goes in. Well, they're going to call it a no goal, but you say, hold on a minute. I understand he initiated contact, but we don't feel like he initiated contact on the right side of the goalie's body. The puck goes in the left, so technically, no, come on.
Yeah.
Like, at some point, we got to, like, just get some clarity here. I mean, this is a joke because, I don't really, me, Alex, you've been around for 8-9 years with me on this. I don't get ultra fired up about,
You're right.
about a lot. And this is probably, and I'm not fired up, but.
But because most times it's, but you know what? They didn't play their best hockey. So, yes, goalie interference impacted the game, but there were other elements that impacted the game. I thought they played a great first and third period. They get the game-winning goal. They shut things down defensively. You don't add much. That's why I think it gets you so fired up, because this was a game that felt like they should have won, and it's taken away from them because of a call that shouldn't have been.
Yeah, and they've been building in such a great direction, too. They were playing great 4 out of the last 5. Mm-hmm. That Washington game was a stinker. But all the other games, they got points in, or they should have got more points in, right? And they felt good about the process of what they were building. And then you come into this game, and you're like, okay, now let's start chunking some things together here. We got the great win in Buffalo. Now let's put this one together. It's a winnable game on Tuesday versus the Calgary Flames, who are right there in the standings. Not a very good hockey team, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. You can start building something in a good direction. And this really just stalls it.
Yeah.
It stalls it in a bad way. And, you still grab a point. And, you can look at a lot of other areas. The Blues 0-3 in overtime this season, 2 on overtime losses, 1 in a shootout. So they're not getting those extended wins right now. They're not clipping away at those extra points that are valuable. You look at the slow second period where they let the Kraken back in. I mean, there's plenty of areas to go into, you can tell Jim Montgomery in his press conference, he was trying to answer questions about Jordan Kyrou and the start to the game, but
he's pissed.
It's like you just can't ignore the elephant in the room. Like, I'll answer your stupid questions, but in reality, I'm just still so fired up about the decision that the league made, which, of course, led to only the 1 point for St. Louis. And to get a little bit clarity here, Alex, I'm not sure if you said this or not. It's because it was in the final minute of play in the third period at any point in overtime, right, that the hockey operations initiates the review.
That's what Steve told us at the end of the game.
I want to make sure
the final 2 minutes of every third period, the league initiates the goals.
Yeah, he said 2 minutes. So here it says in the final minute of play in the third period and at any point in overtime.
Yeah, so yours might be better. Steve was going off the cusp of probably being pissed off that happened.
Right. So the Blues did not need a challenge because that play happened in the final minute of the third period, which it did. So for moving forward, final minute of the third period or any point in overtime, the teams never need to make a challenge. They will always come from hockey operations if they need to initiate a review. I didn't realize that during the game. I knew it was some crazy rule. I thought it was a minute. Curbs and I weren't 100% sure, so we didn't say it. So that's the explanation about why the Blues did not challenge or could not challenge, because it all goes through the league.
Well, and I think, Monty, we're going to hear from him next. I think he's like, look, we would have challenged if we could have because they believed it was goalie interference. Yeah. Let's wrap on this real quick, Joe, because do you remember, was it the Edmonton game or was it the Vancouver game where the Blues challenged goaltender interference? Because we said, he's like, man, this is a big moment in the game. They challenged it, and it was called goalie interference.
It was Evander Kane.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Kane shot it in the third period. The puck goes in, and it was Mackenzie McEachran who made contact with, I believe it was Jordan Binnington in the net, and the Blues made the call, and that goal came back.
And that was nowhere near as blatant as this one.
Nowhere near.
Even on the call, you were like, it's a big...
How close was that?
Yeah, I mean, it was like McEachran's toe touched the blue, touched his pad. I think it was his stick hit his stick.
The stick
and that's
the
what
stick.
So if a stick impeded his chance of making a save on a stick, what's a skate impede?
So if you put those side by side, it's a good point. You put those two interferences side by side. Mackenzie McEachran in the Vancouver game, stick on stick, they called a no goal. Mm-hmm. Right? This one is skate on stick, but they called a goal. Again,
there's just.
I just got myself more fired up on that now that I'm remembering.
I got me all worked up
I know.
again. We were talking about overtime and all this other stuff.
Now I remember what the goal was, and I'm like, oh, God, that one's worse. Hey, I appreciate you swinging back up here after a lot of chaos at the end of this one.
Hey, thanks, Alex. Anytime, brother.
All right, Joey, we'll see you on Tuesday night. Joe Vitale with us. Let's take a break. We'll come back and hear from Jim Montgomery here on the fourth period on your home for the Blues 101 ESPN.
First Community Credit Union Blues postgame show.
Presented by Scott Lee Heating Company and Urban Chestnut Brewing Company on 101 ESPN.
I just did the one thing you're not supposed to do when you're upset about. You go back and you watch the tape. And I really wish Joey wouldn't have told me that that was the Mackenzie McEachran Evander Kane goal, because I didn't remember and I was just going to reference it. Now I just went back and watched it. And I'm going to put it out on Twitter at Ferrario 101 ESPN. But Mackenzie McEachran's stick basically tapped Jordan Binnington's stick. And they said no goal, goalie interference. And now you go back and look at that Eberle one. And I mean, it is I mean, he drags Binnington's stick. It's significantly different. And one's a no-goal, one is a goal. And you want to know the weirdest part? Not the weirdest part. I know exactly why it happened. The goal that Vancouver scored that they called back made it 4-3 with 2:42 to go. So they keep the game tied. This one would have been a game over, but instead it made it tied. You want me to go conspiracy theory on you? There it is. But regardless, a dagger on tonight's fourth period here inside Enterprise Center. Alex Ferrario back with you after the Blues fall in overtime to the Seattle Kraken 4-3. Let's hear from Jim Montgomery now to see what his thoughts are after this one.
It's time to hear from the head coach, Jim Montgomery, presented by Fisher Window and Door Store, offering quality American-made Marvin windows and doors. Visit their showrooms in Brentwood or East Alton, Illinois.
Goalie in there and a couple players that seem pretty confused about what goalie interference is. What are your thoughts after what you saw?
We were certain on the bench that we were going to win the game, because the criteria for goalie interference is, first, the player has to be in the blue paint. Then he has to impede the goalie from playing his position. His left skate hits our goalie's stick, and when he hits his goalie's stick, his arm has to come in. He cannot use his blocker because of Eberle's foot hitting his stick and turning his arm in. The puck goes in on the blocker side. So we understand we'll get a ruling from the league on it. But for us, it meets all the criteria for goalie interference. If it was not, if this was at 5-minute mark, we would have challenged it. That's how certain we were.
Should we get the email from the Situation Room that says he did not impede his ability to play the puck? How do you think they come to that conclusion?
I don't know. I do wonder if they have a goaltender, an ex-goalie in the room, because our goalie coach and the goalie explanation to me, I'm not an ex-goalie, is that it does impede your ability to use your blocker.
The on-ice officials give you an explanation, or is that going to come later from the situation room?
That comes later from the situation room, you know.
Other than that, just how do you feel like it seemed like there were ebbs and flows to the game? Good first period, maybe it got away from you a little bit in the second, then re-grabbed it in the third, I guess. Or?
Yeah, good first, poor second. Third was even. You know, we did some good things in the third. You know, I thought that from the 8-minute mark on, we didn't really give them much. We had another chance to end the game with the Torpochenko chance at the, you know, to make it a 2-goal game at the net front. So, you know, it was a back and forth NHL game.
For Stevenson's goal on the faceoff, what went into having Bukestad out there instead of?
We weren't allowed to change. We iced the puck. So we're not allowed to change. So we iced the puck 3 times, I believe, and we had 2 opportunities to end the game from just before the red line. It's an open net. Like, the game should be over.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you about that 6-on-5 Kraken had a chance, and then it winds up being iced again. Just any way you could have played that differently.
I don't remember the Parayko one. I remember Thomas had one, just missed the net, and Suter, I think, had one. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Got knocked down and stayed in the zone. That's
okay. Yeah, I mean, that clearing attempt, you know, I think we're just trying to clear the zone because of the amount of time, and we had layers in the offensive zone, in the neutral zone. You know, you'd like it to be a cleaner play, but you know, I'd have to look at the tape to have a better answer for you.
Did you get a good response from Kyrie tonight?
Yeah, I thought, you know, he led us in shots. He led us in shot attempts. I thought he was skating well. Yeah, I thought he responded well. And then, you know, what could have been the game-winning goal.
In the first period, he has the forecheck before Holloway's goal. He draws a penalty. Are those signs you're seeing when he's not scoring that he's there?
Yes, like when I talk about he gives opponents anxiety, it's his speed, not only carrying the puck and shooting the puck, but when he's checking like that.
Why did the game get away from you there a little bit in the second period? What wasn't happening, I guess, for you guys?
Well, I think they played to the goal line. We turned the puck over way too much. At the offensive blue line, we had 10 turnovers in the second period. That's us not willing to work offensively. For opportunities, they had better gaps than they had in the first period. So they played better. We played into their hands. You know, got to get better.
The power play, Dvorsky's passes to the net front, is that something that opens up with teams' perspective as one-timer a little bit, or?
No, I think it's just our power play moved the puck really well. It was on and off our tape, and when it got over to him from, I believe, 17, Fowler, it's an automatic if he doesn't have a one-timer to try and put it right back door where Snuggerud is. I thought Snuggerud had the goal. I didn't know it was, I don't know how it went in then.
Jim, I know it's a tough night to walk away with a loss, but Joel Hofer, it seems like he's really turned the corner in the past couple of games. Like the sign the way he's playing.
Yeah, I think, Buffalo, obviously, he pitched a perfect game, and tonight he gave us an opportunity to win.
It's time to take a look back at tonight's game with the final look.
Driven by Pure Performance. Only stop for all your aftermarket vehicle needs.
You can hear the frustration in Jim Montgomery's voice. There was no point in even trying to get any other answers out. I mean, at his perspective, this game should not be the way it ended. But let's set the goalie interference aside. We all are in agreement that it should have been goalie interference. The Blues should have come out with 2 points in regulation, and it was a 3-2 win. There also are areas, like Jim Montgomery just pointed out, that the Blues were short in. Second period, once again, you got outshot 15-5. That's coming off of a game against Buffalo where, yes, you won. You were outshot against Buffalo in the second period. The Capitals game, you had a majority of that second period without a shot on goal. The second period has been a massive issue for the Blues this season. I said this at the intermission. It's the 7th time this season that the Blues have given up 2 or more goals in the second period. It's the 14th time that the Blues have given up a goal in the second period. So the second period has been a turning point. It's been the opportunity for the opposition to pull themselves back in or put the game out of reach or shift the momentum their direction. And the Blues were outshot 15-5. It's the second most goals or second most shots they've given up in a period this season, only to Detroit's 17 that they had in the second period. And then what Jim Montgomery said there in the third. You had a couple of chances to ice the game. Robert Thomas in the middle of the neutral zone put it towards the net, was unable to get it in. You had the icing from Colton Parayko that led to the faceoff in the defensive zone. That's the puck management area that Jim Montgomery continues to preach to this team. And look, it has not bit them this season. They've been great in 6-on-5 scenarios. Prior to this one, never gave up a goal. In fact, every 6-on-5 they were in, they scored an empty net goal. Tonight, it bites them because they don't find the back of the net, and you can't win that faceoff and clear the puck out of your own end. But all of this is overshadowed in a dark cloud over what really impacted this game the most, that the goalie interference should have stood, and the Blues should have won 3-2. But only thing you could do now is shake it off and try and pull out a win. You picked up a point, which is good. You'd rather have that other point, but, keeping track of what we talked about in terms of the next 10 games, they're 2-2-2 now in their following 6 from starting 3-6-1. If you keep up and find ways to win more games and play more consistent, you've got 4 more games to go, potentially sit at 6-2-2 at the end of that 10-game stretch, which would be a great thing for the Blues to push that 3-6-1 criteria behind them. They get a good opportunity to do so because Calgary rolls into town. Calgary Flames sitting with the Blues towards the bottom in the National Hockey League standings. That puck drop on Tuesday as the homestand continues is at 7 o'clock, which means we've got the pregame festivities beginning at 6 o'clock right here on your home for the Blues 101 ESPN. Appreciate everybody joining in over on our YouTube chat at 101 ESPN STL. Also appreciate everybody texting in, tweeting at me, and following along throughout our postgame festivities. Again, the Blues fall 4-3 in overtime to the Kraken as they officially drop to 5-8-3 on the season. A big thank you to Jim Hewer up in the broadcast booth and to our producer Jordan Deacon doing a phenomenal job back in our studios. I'm Alex Ferrario. Hope everyone has a great rest of their evening. Blues fall 4-3 in overtime. Have a great weekend. We'll talk Tuesday as the Blues try and get back in the win column when they take on the Calgary Flames, and you'll hear it right here on your home for the Blues 101 ESPN.
Thanks for listening to the First Community Credit Union Blues postgame show.
Presented by Scott Lee